What if the place meant to protect the vulnerable became the place they feared most? Near Preston, England, Whittingham Hospital opened its doors in 1873. It was meant to be a sanctuary for the mentally ill. Instead, it rapidly grew into the largest psychiatric asylum in Britain, a vast institution where thousands would pass through its iron gates, many never to return to the outside world. For decades, Whittingham operated without public concern. From the outside, everything appeared orderly: clean uniforms, quiet halls, smiling staff. Until 1967, that year, disturbing complaints began to surface, especially from the St. Luke's division. And most horrifying of all, the women's ward. What investigators uncovered was beyond cruel. Patients were allegedly locked alone in tiny rooms for days, sometimes weeks, left in complete darkness. Others were abandoned outside in wheelchairs, exposed to freezing rain and scorching sun. Witnesses described nurses dragging patients by their hair through corridors lined with locked doors. One treatment stood out above all others: the so-called wet towel treatment. A damp towel was wrapped tightly around the necks of so-called unruly patients, cutting off air until they lost consciousness. It was not therapy, it was punishment. Even worse, there were claims that some nurses set fire to patients' clothing while it was still on their bodies, watching as panic took over before extinguishing the flames. Beatings were routine. Ice infestations crawled through wards, over beds, over bodies that were too weak to fight back. When Whittingham eventually closed, many believed the horror had ended. They were wrong. Investigators who entered the abandoned sections of the hospital report an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Some claim to be pushed without warning when they wandered too deep into the building's lower levels, the same areas where the worst abuses allegedly occurred. Footsteps echo behind them, doors slam shut. And in the women's ward, faint crying can still be heard. Drifting through the air like a memory that refuses to die, Whittingham Hospital no longer holds patients, but the victims are still there, and they don't want to be forgotten.